welcome out to the Unscheduled Podcast. I'm your host, Zach, along with my co-host.
That's me, Hobby.
Man, it's been a minute since we've been back to this.
Oh, man. It really has been.
Like, I know it's taken us a little bit, to get back to this, but it's just been hard getting the time for this lately.
Honestly, yeah, no, but to be honest, that is kind of the beauty of the podcast is, the liberty of just coming back to this when we have the time, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why we call it the Unscheduled Podcast. And, you gotta have those notifications ready. You gotta be following, gotta hit those likes. Totally not a plug right now.
Exactly.
So I know when a new episode is up.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, we need to have you know those videos where the YouTuber's like, hey guys, just a quick little interruption. You only like 5% of you guys are subscribed. Please change that. Oh man, we need to start doing that.
Yeah, still, it's a lot of fun to do this podcast, and that's why we do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Today we have an interesting topic that we came across. I know we definitely missed the window for this. But the best way to describe this is like we've done both a soccer episode and a trading card episode. Now we have it kind of collide, and it's in the worst. It's almost in the worst way possible.
Yeah, I was about to say this crossover came together in the worst possible way. So Zach, if you don't mind, I will go ahead and explain away what happened here.
Yeah. And if you guys want to go back and listen to, I believe it was episode like 32 and 34 are the ones where we just talked about like soccer and trading cards. I promise you this wasn't planned. It just happened.
No, yeah, we didn't like plan for well, I'll explain it. Basically, what happened was Antoine Griezmann and Ousmane Dembele, who are both French soccer players for Spanish soccer team FC Barcelona, which is one of the biggest soccer teams in the world. They were caught in 4K, essentially making fun of Asian staff in Japan while they were fixing their TV, and they were making racist gestures and remarks towards Asian staff. So that was really weird.
Oh my god.
And the thing is, so funny thing. So this video actually was published in 2019, and I've seen reports that this video was originally published on the Barcelona official YouTube channel. I personally have not been able to find the video itself. Maybe they took it down at the time that video was, the reports came out, which I wouldn't be surprised with. That's classic scrubbing. But yeah, apparently that video was just up for like 2 years, and nobody bothered to think, hey, that's a little suspect. That's not okay.
Wow.
And the worst part about this actually is Barcelona's main sponsor, the sponsor that goes on their shirt, Rakuten. That is a Japanese company with a Japanese president, Hiroshi Mikitani, and he publicly demanded that there be some sort of reprimand of the players from Barcelona, that they wanted to see like what would happen from here. The only thing that I've seen, so they said that Antoine Griezmann and Ousmane Dembele showed a lack of respect in a leaked video. Leaked is not necessarily correct word, because we're under the guise that it was published by themselves. But anyways,
I would give it as a like resurfaced video.
Yeah, it's more like resurfaced. It was not leaked. But anyways, it showed them mocking hotel staff and have reserved the right to discipline the players over their conduct. And that just means they're not going to do anything to them. I mean, nothing's really come of it. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
No. You know what it's like? It's like when like companies say, "Oh, we're going to do an internal investigation."
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same train of thought. At that point, they look like they're going to do something, but they're not actually. Which is, let's just chalk it up to another piece of shitty things that Barcelona has done within the last few years.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm not going to get on the soapbox because I'm a Real Madrid fan, so I have no platform to stand under. It will just be yanked away by me from another Florentino Perez stupid remark about something. But, I mean, it really is just it just keeps on coming and coming, like they say. And it really is impressive to think that they had the gall to say that this video was leaked and that they have the right to decide how to discipline the players. When their main sponsor that gives them a lot of money is asking for some kind of like disciplinary action here. It's honestly really bizarre. What's probably going to happen here is that there is reliable news. I believe I should have researched better for this, but I believe Fabrizio Romano,
It's okay.
who
We're
is
researching
like
on the fly.
Sorry, what?
We're researching on the fly.
Yeah. But Fabrizio Romano, I believe he has talked a bit about this whole situation and what might happen next. And the popular belief right now is that Antoine Griezmann is going to go back to Atletico Madrid. He's going to go back in a swap deal for Saul from Atletico, and then Griezmann's going to go back the other way, back to Atletico Madrid, and Saul will be joining Barcelona. And that's kind of going to be the damage control, I guess, for Barca is, hey, Atletico wants Griezmann back, and they're going to take his wages, and we'll take Saul, who's I presume is definitely he should be on like a much cheaper contract. And Barcelona doesn't need midfielders, so in a way, they are honestly they're really killing a lot of stones with killing a lot of stones, killing a lot of birds with one stone, really. Getting rid of Griezmann and his controversy, and also getting rid of his wages as well. And then on top of that, they're also filling a position that they actually need in the squad. So I mean, I can't hate them on it, but at the same time, it's really shitty that they're not going to really face the consequences for not disciplining a player that was, did something terrible while they were on their team.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right to me.
I mean, and let's not forget Griezmann's response to the actual video too.
Yes, that's right. Thank you for reminding me. So this is very much ad-lib, but essentially what happened was Griezmann said, this is terrible. I'm so sorry, but I'm not racist. I have Japanese friends, and I like anime. That's essentially what he said.
So he picked the one of the worst possible responses.
And it's really unfortunate because Griezmann is known to be like a very chill. He's very popular. Like he's very popular on social media. He's very tuned. He knows how to work that stuff. But apparently, I guess he just decided to not talk to his PR officer before posting this apology because saying you have Asian friends and that you weren't actually being racist. Oh, that's another thing, right? He said he wasn't being racist. Like the gesture itself wasn't racist, which is like that was just adds like to a whole like he's just completely like ignoring all the fundamentals of PR, which is like to acknowledge that it happened, to say sorry. And then to say that it's not going to happen in the future, and say what you're going to do, what to do to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. He's foregoing all of that and saying, "Wait, but I wasn't racist. It wasn't racist for me to make fun of the Asian staff,
oh my god,
and make racist remarks." I don't know, man.
Whoever's his PR person, quit right now, please. If you have not quit, because working for them is only going to be a worse PR nightmare at this point. Just quit. If you can, quit.
Yeah, and that's not even to mention the fact that the person who actually recorded the video and was kind of egging him on was Dembele, I believe. And that's a whole nother thing honestly, I have not much knowledge on. But the unifying factor between trading cards and soccer is Griezmann. And Zach, you have a little bit more information on that. You told me something very interesting about a week ago regarding Griezmann and Konami, actually.
Yeah, so I'll touch on that in a sec, but like seriously, this is just it's just all levels of how not to put yourself out there negatively.
Yes.
And in honesty, like it doesn't surprise me Dembele is completely untouched by this. For a few reasons. So even though he's in the video, I feel like he can claim, and I'm not saying he is doing this, I'm not saying he will do this, I'm not saying he should do this. I'm just saying it's a possibility that can't be ruled out, is him claiming like, oh, he was only taking the video, he wasn't actually, supporting this, or he wasn't, he wasn't truly egging him on and stuff.
Mm.
You know. Other
Sure.
thing is, Dembele is pretty popular over, and like he's a rising star in FC Barcelona.
Mm.
Or
He
at
was.
least
He was.
He was.
I would say he was.
He
More
was.
like.
Okay. I'm a little out of the loop on that, but I would
No,
say
that's
he
fine.
was.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
He definitely was. And so now when you look at it, it's like, I feel like he's had that weird status where it's like, he's too big to really do too much with him, but he's not big enough where it's career ending.
Right.
So, like, because let's just draw a quick comparison. Like, let's say someone everyone knows, like Messi, Beckham, Ronaldo, all those names. Like, if you saw that in a headline, their careers would be absolutely over, or they would just be held as the most controversial figures for the rest of their careers.
Yes. Yeah.
But Dembele is like, he has notoriety, but he's also not in a level like I feel like FC Barcelona cares enough.
No.
And same for Griezmann, like literally FC Barcelona I bet they feel like they just had their solution handed to them on a silver platter right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a little difficult because Dembele, like I've mentioned, Barcelona have made a lot of bad decisions, and one of those is having Bartomeu as their president.
Yeah.
Because he just gave out contracts willy-nilly.
Yeah.
The wage structure at Barcelona is completely just beyond repair. So that makes it so getting rid of deadwood players or players that no longer are beneficial to Barcelona is really hard unless they are loaning them to other teams while paying for most of, if not all of their salary.
Yeah.
Or finding someone gullible enough to say, "Hey, Dembele was really good." You know, Dembele's like, and you know, in all fairness, that's true. That could be the pitch, right? But Dembele's like still very young. He's like our age, Zach. Like,
Yeah.
he's not an old. He's not old. He hasn't even hit his prime.
Yeah.
So, but in reality, he needs to be held accountable for his actions before he moves on to another team, because we can't just let Dembele go and say, "Hey, you know, you can just go to another team." And just forget that ever happened. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to be held accountable for the fact that he recorded that video. He published that video as well. Like, he published that video, not thinking of the way it like negatively affected Asian people and the way they're portrayed in media and just in general. So, it's really unfortunate.
Here's something that I feel like that needs to be discussed real quick, because like as we discussed, this is a resurfaced video. So yes. it makes me wonder, why now are we seeing it? Like, why didn't we like get this uproar 2 years ago? Because definitely 2 years ago, this uproar I feel like would have punched much harder.
I mean, that's a great question. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. To be quite frank with you, I don't know why just the algorithm decided that this video is going to come up now of all times. But I think the important takeaway is that it has resurfaced, and that this isn't just going to blow over for them. Hopefully.
Yeah. So here's my thoughts on this, and why. And you know, I kind of have a small. This isn't me trying to big brain or anything, or me like trying to construct a conspiracy at this point. This is just either coincidence or happenstance that happened. And so now we're finally going to answer, like, I bet all the listeners have been like, but how does this tie into trading cards?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. Literally, like 2 weeks ago to the date of this recording, Konami signed a deal with Griezmann, naming him their very first brand ambassador. And for those who don't know what a brand ambassador is, it's essentially like a celebrity, famous person, or, you know, at least recognizable person who supports a product or company, or, you know, and says like, oh, I support this company, I want to, you know, become the representative, yada yada yada, stuff like that. Like the best example I could give you, or like the most famous example, is like is you see, like, when you see a celebrity in commercials, so like Shaq with the General.
Yeah, or Shaq in like any like commercial for a Fortune 500 company, basically. Honestly,
we could have a whole episode on that in itself if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Konami announced this, and as this brand ambassador, they tagged along the idea of inclusivity and that Yu-Gi-Oh is for literally everyone. So that was their thing. Konami signed him up to be the Yu-Gi-Oh brand ambassador. That's where the trading cards come in.
Yeah.
And so, I remember sending this to Javi, and like we were both really surprised, like that this was like a thing, because we had never before really seen, like, we didn't think, a soccer player of all people would be endorsing, Yu-Gi-Oh. Neither from the outside nor outside the community nor inside the community.
Yeah, right.
And what's interesting is Griezmann was actually supposed to make his own Yu-Gi-Oh card that would be allowed within the trading card game.
Mm-hmm.
So here's kind of the after effects of everything that's happened. So obviously, people have been calling for outcry and punishment. And let's keep in mind, Konami's a Japanese company.
Mm-hmm.
So they did not take this over well. So they completely, they totally, how do I say? They took away his contract. They canceled his contract. They canceled all his deals. They canceled all his appearances because he was going to go on on tour. They removed him from the Konami products and website. And they even removed a title they were supposed to give him.
Wow.
So yeah, no, they've completely scrubbed it in the everything that happened with the with Dembele and Griezmann. And like Konami's just like, no, we're not going to do this. We're not about this. And so, right. They even had an interview with him. Like they were essentially like combing him to become the face of Yu-Gi-Oh on like a casual level.
Right.
So then after that, here's the thing. And this is what a lot of people, this is where things kind of took a left turn. And more of like, there were memes born of this, as is per the law of the internet. But at the same time, like, it took a weird insinuation on things. And people suddenly, like, wanted Konami, or they, not even wanted, let's go with the proper way of what it was. They demanded Konami make a new brand ambassador. And then they were just, like, saying all these, like, names from YouTube, from, like, Twitch and all this stuff, wanted them to be the brand ambassadors for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right.
So, and here's the thing, it's like the community now kind of is like fighting on like, oh, it should be a celebrity who becomes the face of Yu-Gi-Oh because, it'll bring in more people. And then there's also the other thing of like, it shouldn't be people from Yu-Gi-Oh because, they already have their fans and they brought in people to the game already, or already are bringing people into the game. So what Konami seems to be really silent on now is that they don't, like, everyone's completely unsure if they're going to continue the brand ambassador program. So, like we said before at the beginning of this episode, this crossover blew up in like the worst way possible. And there was like, Konami really took a chance on this because this is, like I said, this was their very first brand ambassador. There was no one else who was set up to do that. And literally 2 weeks after they announced Griezmann as their ambassador, so tying back to my original thought, this is why I think this video kind of resurfaced. Because, Konami made this big shebang about Griezmann being, the face, essentially, of Yu-Gi-Oh! As their brand ambassador. Right. And then suddenly, you have a Japanese company having someone who was literally being racist towards Japanese being the face of their company. It's gonna draw some flags there, and I don't know what YouTube gods or what internet detective found this and threw this up there, and but it's had at least its repercussions through Griezmann losing at least one big deal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brand contracts, like, this is Konami. Konami is not poor by any means.
No.
Like, this was probably set up to be a multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal. I don't have any actual stats or statistics to back that up. There wasn't a lot of info on this that we could find. But this was definitely something that, would have not been cheap for them to set up.
Yes.
So now the entire thing is like everyone's saying, should Konami continue this? Should Konami axe this program? If they do continue it, who should they bring in? And that's kind of its own not controversy, but discussion within both the Yu-Gi-Oh community and like kind of outside of it too. But it's like, to me, in my head, what I would love Konami to do is I hope they don't give up on this idea of a brand ambassador, because if they want to bring in more people, they definitely need to bring in someone who's recognizable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it would be an absolute shame for a company like Konami to give up on a program that seemed really promising. I mean, like, the matter of fact is, Griezmann, without the whole controversy, he would have been a great choice, honestly, because he is very public about his affection for Japanese media, such as anime, video games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he would have been a great choice, in my opinion, of being able to adequately express that affection and that sort of passion he has for Japanese media, such as trading cards and stuff like that. I think it would have been great. Unfortunately, just they had the terrible luck of that Griezmann turned out to be someone who said racist things without, apologizing for them. So it's really unfortunate, because I feel like that's not necessarily going to always be the case with these. I mean, hopefully it's never going to be the case again with these brand ambassadors, obviously. And I don't think they should necessarily give up on it just because of Griezmann, because again, that, in my opinion, is just like a freak kind of like thing, right? Like, I don't think that's necessarily a thing that they should go into like every like meeting with like a brand ambassador or potential brand ambassador, like hopefully he's never like publicly mocked like an Asian person, hopefully. But I mean, I really do hope they don't like give up on it.
Yeah. Now, is there something to be said about Konami not, vetting their ambassador enough, or actually doing enough of background check? Yeah, there's definitely something to be said there. Like, clearly they didn't do their full research into everything because remember, when you're like, how PR and all this stuff works, you have to be thorough, and you cannot have essentially a black mark on your PR, because it's going to stay there, and it's very hard to remove or cover up.
Yeah.
So if it's out there, it's out there. So, again, someone at Konami clearly didn't do enough. But again, it's not Konami's responsibility to essentially, it's not their responsibility to make sure they behave. It's but it is their responsibility to make sure that they respond accordingly to it.
Absolutely, yes.
But yeah, so what I'm hoping for is Konami continues the program. There is an argument to be made, though, like the first time they try this ambassador program, it blows up in their face.
Right.
And, that clearly, I mean, I think any reasonable person would be deterred from trying again.
Yes, yeah.
And the thing is, if Konami does do this again, which, again, I hope for, like we're hoping for it at this point, it comes down to a matter of who do they want to have? Because there's definitely, it's not like you're suddenly having people line up for Yu-Gi-Oh! And are like, yeah, I definitely want to be the face. I want to be the face of this. I want to be the face of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not going to have celebrities kind of essentially, vying for this position. This was just something Konami, I feel like, had to offer. Especially, like you said, Griezmann is very open about like his love for Japanese media.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, this guy seems perfect. Like, I would not be surprised by that. But at the same time, it's like, I remember there is like a football player in the NFL who was apparently like, he played Yu-Gi-Oh! And like he actually got to like tournaments, like he topped in tournaments. A lot of people have been pointing him. I wish I knew the name. I don't know too much info. I wish I knew the name.
Let's see. I'm trying to see the name. Apparently, this guy's name is Ryan Hunter, according to this. He used to play for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, like people are saying, oh, he should be the face of it, and I'm like, to an extent, that makes sense. I don't know football that much. But an NFL player being the face of Yu-Gi-Oh wouldn't be a bad idea.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with that, especially because they're clearly branching out into sports.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's just something to be said about it. Like, and I hope Konami continues, but I understand at the same time if they choose not to. And definitely Barcelona needs to, at this point, do something about at least Dembele, but by their track history, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. I mean, even though I'm a Madrid fan, I don't want to like see like Barca fans suffer because of the actions of their board or their players or anything like that. I don't want that kind of like negative reputation to be associated with the team or anything like that. As funny as it is, though, sometimes to watch the ship burn from the other side. But yeah, no. I mean, in all seriousness, though, I do agree with you on the fact that it would be a shame for Konami to never really do this again, but it wouldn't necessarily be outside of their rights to do so because, like we said, this is the first time they went out of their way to do this, and it just blew up in their face. However, I still kind of maintain the position that this is just more like a freak, like accident kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't like it was just really unfortunate, like that this happened.
Yeah. I think the other thing that you can kind of say about this, and this is just what I was thinking on it, it's like and this is really weird to say, but in the context of it, it makes sense. I'm very happy this happened now.
Yeah.
Instead of like a year later, and let's say a year goes by and Griezmann had been like cemented and become pretty popular as the face of Yu-Gi-Oh and had been there for a while, and then suddenly this video surfaces. Konami would be in a way worse position and have way more of a tainted brand at that point.
Yes.
Than before.
Totally agree with you. In a weird sort of like blessed way, it is kind of fortunate that this came out before Griezmann could really sort of cement himself as the face of Konami to casual fans, like you said. But yeah, I mean, like personally, I mean, Zach, I have to ask, like, where do you think Konami should go from here? Do you think that they should perhaps pick someone else, or do you think that they should kind of ease off the idea of a brand ambassador for now?
I think definitely there is some time that needs to be cooled off from this.
Yeah.
Like, I would not blame them if they let this cool off for like a month or 3. I get that. But if they do want to continue the program, there is a time limit. There is a time limit. They would have to do it, I'd say, within the next 6 months.
Interesting. Why do you say that?
I feel like if they do this within the next 6 months, it still will hold that same hit and impact that it did when Griezmann was announced. Because now they're like, now it can show, even with Griezmann, being axed and everything, it's showing that Konami's like, hey, we know we messed up with this, but hopefully, this person isn't a scumbag, and we're still trying to keep this alive. It keeps people interested. If they do this, let's say 2 years later, people are just going to remember Griezmann more than the actual program itself. And in my head, at least, in my perspective, they were like, isn't this the thing that, stopped because of this event?
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, cool, this is a program where, we get celebs represent and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's definitely that time frame that they're working against, if they even plan to continue the program.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing, obviously. It's like they still have to decide whether or not they want to continue with this sort of idea of a brand ambassador.
Yeah. So, you just have to figure out exactly what it is you want to do and how they want to do it at this point, because they have to be very careful how they set it up at this point. And maybe we'll get a more thorough vetting system out of the next person, but it just depends on what Konami wants to do at this point. I think they kind of need to do multiple brand ambassadors on the next one. Don't just invest it all in one person.
Right.
Because if let's say they do 3 people. So even if one of them turns out to be another piece of shit, at least they have these 2 others they can invest more in while pulling away from that third.
Right, but in that case, I feel like they would have to make sure that those three don't intermingle too much, because then those three would be associated with each other, and it'd be really weird if one of them turns out to be shit. Right.
Right. And here would be my thought to that. It's like, why not have a micro and a macro base of Yu-Gi-Oh? So like I said, there are Yu-Gi tubers out there, or Yu-Gi-Oh YouTubers for those who don't know. And they could have a brand ambassador be a Yu-Gi tuber, but they would be on a micro scale, for the community. Well, on a macro scale, you get a like famous person, athlete, singer, etc., to be the face of the brand. So that way you draw in a larger casual audience, while also kind of, pleasing the fan base you already have with like a Yu-Gi tuber or something. Because that's a whole different other thing. Like, I don't know if we would make an episode on it, but there's a whole different other discussion on Yu-Gi tubers and their relationship with Konami.
Interesting.
Yeah. But like, it's something that I feel like would be an interesting, at least viable solution to this whole thing.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see it. Obviously, you have a better idea of this than I do, because you have more information on the YouTubers than I do. But I could definitely see it I can definitely see where you're coming from with this.
Yeah, and hopefully in the future, I hope Barcelona takes action against these players. I doubt it at this rate. If they haven't done anything at this point, they probably won't. I hope Konami continues, but I guess as many things are, only time will tell.
Absolutely.
Well, I think I've pretty much said all my piece on it. You have anything?
I just hope that whenever Atletico Madrid inevitably goes on tour, Griezmann protects his face, because I don't think he's going to be able to evade any scorn from anybody else. But I mean, I just personally think that if Griezmann had apologized and said, "Hey, this is wrong with me," it would have turned out way better. But because of the fact that he denied that there was even racist in the first place, it just really cemented this is just a total failure for him.
Yeah.
But that's all I really have to say about it.
Yeah. Well, with that, thank you guys so much for coming out today and listening. It was an interesting topic then, and it wasn't a topic we saw happening, nor was it like two subjects that we're passionate about kind of colliding.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you guys so much for coming out and listening. And the next episode will be, who knows when? It's unscheduled. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.